Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bin Chickens Vinyl Fair podcast, season two, wrapping up season two. This is the season finale of the podcast. And because she's making me do this, I decided to bring back a very special guest, the Bin Chickens co founder, and really just the driving force behind everything Bin Chickens, the one and only Julie. Welcome to the podcast, Julie.
Hi, Chris. I'm glad that I'm forcing you to do this.
Well, I mean, you're glad, I'm not, but within those two, things, there's a balance there. So yeah, so well, I mean, let's just start off simple. How have you been? What's your day like? What's going on?
My day's been a little bit busy, a little bit all over town. But it's coming up on a wrap up, and after this, gonna eat some dinner and watch some TV, maybe do some client work. Who knows? Get crazy. It's a Wednesday night in Chicago, the night before a big chill.
What are you what are you gonna do? What are you gonna eat for dinner?
We ordered takeout Italian, so
Nice.
it will be waiting for me when we get off this call.
What Italian do you get?
I do a gluten-free penne pasta, and I really enjoy a bolognese sauce from this place in particular. So, yep.
Hmm. Well, maybe your TV selections will excite me more. What are you gonna watch?
I'll probably not excite you by telling you that I'm going to watch Survivor.
You're correct. You're not exciting me.
And I will likely do some work in between, and then follow it up with Stephen Colbert. You know my affinity for Stephen Colbert.
I'm really regretting even going down this path. I should have launched right into, hey, so we're excited about the event on Sunday instead of just, trying to find out what you're doing.
Well, here, let
So,
me flip the script, Chris. What are you going to do tonight to something super exciting on a Wednesday night in Chicago?
well,
The
I mean,
night before a big chill.
okay, well, first of all, what's this big chill you're talking about?
Oh, the weather's going to drop dramatically tomorrow.
Okay,
Like
well,
just north of us, there's a massive storm. They had to like shut down 94 in Wisconsin because of the number of accidents.
um, I'm fine with that because they're Wisconsinites. But your definition of dramatic and mine might be slightly different. How much of a drop are we talking about?
It's going to be like 20s and a high of freezing for the next 2 days.
Okay. Okay. So it's colder. I mean, but we've been like riding like 40s, I feel, for a week now, right?
Yeah, and I'll take it for as long as I can get it.
Well, you're gonna get it till tonight, and now it's down to the 30s. You should be outside. But I'm going to be after this, I'm going to be contemplating a shower, and that means if I have another beer left in the fridge to have a shower beer, then I will take a shower. If I don't, then I
Is
will
that a
just
Coors Light? Because they have marketed themselves as the beer, the shower beer.
have they?
Oh yeah, you haven't seen that commercial? It's actually really hilarious.
No, I haven't seen it at all.
It's really funny. I will be sure to get you that video clip. And if anyone out there listening hasn't seen it, Google the Coors Light shower beer commercial because it's good. Wait, then there's like someone that did a parody of it too, where it's called shower nachos or like something, and it's this guy that's like eating nachos in the shower. I think it was Stephen Colbert. I have to look it up again now. Like I don't know. I go down these rabbit holes on things on the internet. My cat's trying to attack my phone as we're on it right now because he thinks that this is going to be his Friskies game and he can play if he touches it. But if he hangs up on you, I'll call you back.
When is Oliver finally gonna, agree to go on the podcast? I've been trying to get him, but his agents won't get back to me.
Oh, my little Oliver. He's so sweet. Um, okay, sorry I interrupted. You're gonna have a shower beer and then your rest of your Wednesday night?
Well, I'm gonna go out and grab more beers at a local watering hole
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
eat some dinner there. Hopefully, my friend Javon comes out to the city. Then, that could really determine how crazy the night gets. Because if he's hanging out with me, then we might hang out for a long time. If he's not hanging out with me, I'll still hang out for a long time, but I'll be less happy about it because I'll be by myself. Um, then I will go visit my girlfriend, and then actually my night doesn't sound so exciting either compared to yours, which is really fun.
But we did used to have a regular Wednesday night ritual that you and I participated in, and we've had discussions of getting it going again, where we used to go to trivia every Wednesday. There
Oh,
was a group of seven or so of us that would every Wednesday get together and play the trivia. Um, so in likeness to that, Chris, and due to the exciting news, if you'd like to break some news this week about one of your favorite bands, then I can give you a quiz.
oh, okay. Wait, so am I supposed to break the news now?
Go ahead, you can tell people. I know you're dying to bring it up.
I thought I've talked about it with so many people that I already thought I mentioned it, but it was just in individual conversations to other people and not actually on the podcast. But um, yeah, it's super exciting news. And I did the video too. That's what I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, my favorite band of all fucking time, Rage Against the Machine, announced this past Friday that they are reuniting for what is right now. I didn't check the last 2 days, so maybe they were added shows, but so far there's only a couple of shows. But they announced they're reuniting for some shows in 2020. Couple of late March shows in uh fuck, I can't remember the first place. Doesn't matter. Then there's Las Cruces, New Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, and then they are headlining Coachella back-to-back weekends in April. And a lot of people, I've been reading a lot of flack this past week from people who are like, Rage Against the Machine, they're like anti-capitalist, anti-commercialization, but they're like headlining like the most fucking commercialized shit festival out there in Coachella. So like so there's like kernels of truth in that and that they are headlining that that festival. But I mean, what I want to say to those people is, I mean, would you rather they just not reunite at all and never play anywhere? Because like that's the only way that anybody could ever guarantee that they will not look hypocritical or look like sellouts is if they just never perform anywhere. They never signed to a major label, which Rage signed to Sony back in 1991. So they've already been down this path, you know. But and I don't want to get off on a rant here, but my point is that if Rage hadn't signed to a major label in 1991 and released 3 studio albums and a covers album, they would be like the most popular indie band in Los Angeles, right? Like where they're from. So it's like they made the decision to reach a wider audience and you know put uh, their political causes and messages out to a as big of a audience as possible. And that's what enabled me to learn about a lot of things that I had no fucking clue about in the late 90s. So to everybody thinks they're sellouts, you guys are wrong. And that's the very tame version of what I want to say to them. You guys are wrong. And I don't care if they're at Coachella or not. They headlined the very first Coachella in 1999. And then they also headlined it in 2007, which was their first reunion. So they also have a personal history with this festival, no matter how many of the Kardashians are seen as the face of this festival now. I mean, Rage specifically has a connection with that festival, and it's also only like 2 hours outside of Los Angeles. So, anybody who grew up listening to them in and around LA, that's a much more accessible way to see them, than if they headlined, the Fuji Festival in Japan, which I think they've done before, but I might be wrong. Anyways, anyways, I
um,
just yeah, got
to just stack on top of that, even what's funny about you making this, exciting announcement and diatribe afterwards, is is that in season one of our podcast, you had told me about you asked how my day was. I told you I asked how your day was, and you're like, well, it started out really great because I read this article and it said, Rage is going to reunite, and I clicked on it, but it was just clickbait because it was not. And you were so disappointed, and like now
yeah.
we've come full circle.
That's really cool, Julie. I'm glad you reminded me of that because I had already excised that memory from my head. Because it was very disappointing. But yeah, we have come full circle. Rage is actually getting back together, and I don't want to jinx it, but there's a chance. I mean, maybe they record a new album. They haven't had a new album since 1999's Battle of Los Angeles, which is the video that I did. It's been 20 fucking years. It's well overdue. Um, but the other exciting part of this news was that the I don't know if you knew that the 3 members of Rage minus the vocalist have been performing the last like 2 or 3 years with 2 other vocalists taking his place, Chuck D from Public Enemy and Be Real from Cypress Hill, they were performing as Prophets of Rage for the last couple of years. With no disrespect to them, but it's not the same thing without the vocalist. That was, vocalists are very important to bands, in my opinion. They were kind of doing this thing for a couple of years, but they also announced, like on Saturday, in the wake of the Rage reunion news, that Prophets of Rage is disbanding, and it's like, but it was all like very amicable and everything. But it's like I'm glad that they said yes, Prophets of Rage is no longer going to be a thing. We were keeping the place warm for Zach, the vocalist, rather than them saying Prophets of Rage is still a thing. Rage is going to do some shows, but we're still around too. Because this is more likely then that maybe this will lead to something more permanent. Like I said, maybe a new studio album, maybe a longer tour. Because so far they only have a couple of shows announced. So anyways, I'm going to stop ranting, but I'm very excited. I don't know if you can tell. I'm very fucking excited.
You are, and you mentioned to me that you were looking at going to the show that's in, was it New Mexico? Is that the one that you were? Okay.
Yeah.
And for our listeners who don't know much about your past, I will let them know that this is actually very exciting and big news, not only because it's your favorite band, but that you are actively going to travel by airplane to get there. Because prior to, was it 2017?
Yeah, prior to 2017.
Prior to 2017, Chris was not a flyer. He was afraid of flying, like La Bamba style afraid. So
yeah.
So his fears have been conquered, and they very slowly. You started very slowly at first, small trips and very domestic flights, and then I came to you with this idea that we were going to, you were going to make good on a promise to our friend Richard in Australia, and you told him you'd be there by 2020, and then I called you when we got invited to the wedding, and I said 2020 is coming early.
Which I didn't appreciate, by the way. You can't bump up that sort of timetable for like an around the world venture.
But we made it happen, and to that exact point, Chris made a 16-hour flight both directions. He took it like a champ, and I feel like the fear of flying is now long gone and no longer a fear. It's just a affinity of getting on a plane and smelling that jet fuel. Everyone loves jet fuel, right?
It's my favorite kind of fuel to smell.
I legitimately do enjoy jet fuel, so I know that's just because I grew up at the airport and I was always around it. But I honestly really like it.
You hear that, jet fuel? Julie loves you.
You got one fan out there. Like when you're first rolling into O'Hare and you start smelling it, like it's like, yeah, you're at the airport. Like this is jet fuel.
I mean, I'll just take your word on it. But so for that, so the first show that I did neglect to mention, they're starting in El Paso, Texas, March 26th. But I have a good friend, Gabriella, in Denver. She's the one who alerted me to the news on Friday. She hit me up on Facebook saying, she tagged me in the article about it. The news had just broken, and she's like, "Oh my God, check this out." And I was like, I couldn't fucking believe it. But she wants me to fly to Denver, where she lives, and then road trip down. I think it's like a 9-hour trip to Las Cruces. So I don't know. I'll either fly into Las Cruces or somewhere in New Mexico, or do the Denver thing to see her, some other friends in Denver, and then drive down. But either way, I'm seeing these motherfuckers in one of these first 5 shows because, like with any other volatile band, and they weren't particularly volatile, but the reason why they haven't gotten back together full on in the last 20 years is because there was some sort of internal thing that they've never really, been too vocal or clear about. I don't want to not go to these 5 shows and think, oh, they're gonna have like a full on tour later, or they'll come to Chicago later in the year. I mean, if they have those first 5 shows and then they're like, you know what, this was a fucking mistake, like fuck you guys, and then they don't tour after that, then I'll miss my shot. So I'll definitely be right now probably at that New Mexico show.
How many people reached out to you on Friday to tell you the news?
You know what? Not as many as I really thought, and I think I'm losing friends or people just don't care. And that's fine. I get it. We all grow up and have families. I mean, I don't have a family, but yeah, it was a little. I thought, to be honest, I thought I'd have a few more people texting me or tagging me in Facebook saying, "Hey, check it out." I did have several people who I do appreciate. The people who did reach out to me and let me know, I do appreciate that because it helped. I actually walked into my boss's office that day at 1 in the afternoon, to ask her something, and she's like, "Well, how are you doing today?" I'm like, "Actually, I'm fucking great." And she's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And I told her the whole thing about Rage, so I couldn't stop. I had a smile on my face that whole day. So
Well, you're the one that told me about it. I didn't know. I was just getting excited about the My Chemical Romance news.
yeah, you were, and I'm sorry, but
And then
like,
you had to go and stomp all over my parade.
oh, your Black Parade.
My black parade. No, I'm super excited that they're doing that they're getting back together too. I think that they're a really great band. I just love emo music. I'm all over the board. Like I don't really have a consistent music type, unfortunately. I don't, I fall into the category of those memes of like people that say I love music and then their favorite song is like, you know, something stupid, and it's true. Like that's me. I don't have,
like
I don't
like
have
Free Bird by Leonard Skinner.
right. It's gonna be something really dumb. It'll be like Flo Rida. You're like, wait,
Oh
what?
God, yeah.
Anyway, no offense to Flo Rida. I'm sure he's great. I just don't know any of his stuff really.
He's,
Um,
he's had some good songs. No disrespect to Flo Rida, but he shouldn't be anybody's favorite song. That's the point.
but I am excited that My Chemical Romance is getting back together. I don't know that I will be making it to any of their shows, but I'm excited that they're back together. I'm happy because that means things are brewing.
One of the I was scoping multiple articles on Friday to confirm that this was actually happening, and like I was like refreshing like every half hour to see if like there was more news or whatever, and like
Did you wish
several of the
that
articles.
Kurt Loder was on TV to deliver the news to you?
Well,
Because
he was the second most wanted thing I wanted to announce it. The first thing was the typewriter keys jumping off the screen and making that loud doof, 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 doof for
right?
news. Yeah, that's what I needed. Then it was, hi, hello everyone, I'm Kurt Loder with MTV News. Rage Against the Machine has announced a reunion tour. Yeah, that's how he would have said it too.
So let's go back to our previous podcast, the first one from this season, where we had a discussion about Kurt Loder. Do you remember?
You were supposed to be in contact with him, I believe.
I have researched more about Kurt Loder in these like last 2 months than I think anyone has in the last decade. So just FYI, he's still alive.
He started trending just because of your research.
Yeah. I really thought he fell off Earth. I wasn't sure. I'm like, and then I'm wondering, like, if Kurt Loder dies, is that national news? Because like it is to our generation. Like he was the one that gave us the news when we were, you know, in our teens and tweens. Um,
Do you know how old he is?
oh God.
Yes.
I mean I should know off the top of my head right now with how many things I've read about him, but no, I don't. He has his own podcast, he has a show he's working on, like he's still super active. He's not easy to get a hold of, but he's still super active.
Um, he he's a
He's
libertarian.
68,
I'm gonna
68,
leave that
70. How old is he?
74.
Oh my God,
74.
yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. It makes sense.
old. That's
Because
old.
he was, I mean, okay, let me preface this with I love Kurt Loder. I am not dogging Kurt Loder here, but he was old for MTV.
Yeah, he
Like
was.
he was, there was Kennedy and downtown Julie Brown, and like they were like
John Sensio.
yeah, these kids were all like 22, and then you had the 40-year-old and you're like, wait, what? But now let's be honest, like Kurt Loder is a living legend. Like he definitely has earned his right in the music world. um but yes, I unfortunately I have not succeeded at getting in touch with him, but I have done a lot of digging around and trying to see how to continue chasing that carrot for another Ben Chickens day.
Um, what are the odds, do you think? How many times do you think in his life he's ever maybe approached somebody in a bar or in some sort of amorous situation and introduced himself as Kurt Heavy Loader?
I don't know.
Because if that were my last name, that's the first one I'm going with, is Heavy Loader. Kurt, come
um
on the podcast to either refute this accusation, this allegation.
so aside from that though, like the most famous moment that I remember in Kurt Loder history is him delivering the news about Kurt Cobain.
Who?
Shut up, Chris. um, but wait, it was last week. Last week, I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly what day, was 25 years since they recorded their Nirvana Unplugged on MTV. And after that, the famed sweater went up
It was
for
a cardigan.
auction. Sorry?
It was a cardigan.
Oh, sorry. Cardigan, sweater, whatever you want to call it. Um, it went up for auction and grossed over $300,000.
Yeah.
300, I mean, like that's a lot of money for a sweater from a
It's
resale shop.
you know it established a new record for the most expensive sweater ever sold at auction. It destroyed the previous record of $24. So it really kind of blew it out of the water.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so history. That was 25 years ago. I can't even believe it. Like I can't think of what I was even doing 25 years ago.
Um, all right. I'm gonna I was gonna say you're probably being stupid, but
Well, I would have been young, so yeah, I probably was doing something stupid.
um here's a quick quiz. True or false? Nirvana did not play Smells Like Teen Spirit during that unplugged performance.
True.
You are correct. They did not play that song.
I used to have that CD. I never had the record. I had the CD.
Oh, you're one of them
Probably
C types.
probably from the BMG buy 12 CDs for 1 penny.
No, you were more Columbia House, 8 CDs for a penny. You got taken. You got
I
bamboozled.
I mean I did them all, let's be honest. I wanted those CDs.
You put a nickel in an envelope and you just got like 80 CDs from everyone.
I used to save up and order things through catalogs, like when at the age that children didn't do stuff like that. So I would save my allowance and then I would buy things from the back of magazines. And I wouldn't really tell anyone that I'd done it until it arrived at the house. My mom's like, "What is this package for you?" I'm like, "Oh, that's the Evian face spray that I bought." She's like, "It's water in a can." I'm like, "Yes." And you spray it on your face.
Thanks for chiming in.
So yeah, she would always be like, "What is this? Like, what's just arriving at my house? You're 9." And it wasn't a time when you ordered things through like the mail or online to be delivered, so it was just funnier.
Yeah, that was a much different time. The late, well, the late 80s, if I may date you so accurately.
That's all right. You're welcome to. But wait, I want to get to this quiz though, Chris. This the quiz about Rage Against the Machine, since we started it and have since detoured several times.
Okay.
I want to preface this with this quiz is 33 questions. I don't know if we're gonna
Okay.
get through them all, but if you want to, we can see how it goes. Let's just
Yeah.
let's just try a couple and see how it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah. Let's jump in.
Okay. This first one, they're multiple choice, so maybe you need the answers, maybe you don't need the answers. You let me know.
Okay.
This first question is, what hip hop act did Rage Against the Machine team up with for a 1997 summer tour?
Oh, so this is a two-part answer. First of all, the first part is the correct answer, which is Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. It was Wu-Tang Clan. And the second part of the answer is that the RZA just uh, was quoted like 2 days ago when he heard the news about Rage reuniting. He actually referenced that 97 tour, which had to be Wu-Tang had to leave the tour, I think, before it was actually done because I think there was some internal strife among some of the members or something. There was some sort of conflict going on. So Wu-Tang dropped off after a certain number of shows. So RZA actually said like, I'm hoping that like let's run it back. Let's fucking do a tour again with Rage and like finish what we started, back in 97. So that was exciting too because if Rage tours with Wu-Tang, that'll bring everybody who's ever been cool together.
Everybody who's ever been cool?
Well, like 98%.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, the answer of Wu-Tang Clan was correct. Bravo. And you just earned yourself some points. 3 points for that answer.
Ooh.
Um, and if we have a quiz of 33 questions and you get 3 points per answer, you cannot get 100%.
Then I quit. Then I'm stopping right now.
Let's try one more question and see if we want to continue.
Okay.
What did Rage Against the Machine do during the PMRC protest at Lollapalooza 3? Would you like me to give you the answers?
I'm 80% sure I know what they did, but I'll go ahead and listen to the answers.
Okay, you have A, they put upside down flags on amps. B, they sat with the audience. C, they silently left the stage. Or D, they stood naked on stage.
The answer is D. They stood naked on stage.
You feel really confident about that?
I know they did that at some sort of show at some point in the early 90s. I don't know if it was that particular show, but they definitely stood naked on stage with like duct tape over their mouths.
You
That's
got it correct.
boom. Are you kidding me? Do you really think I'm gonna not fucking know one of these answers? Come on.
Let's keep going. What Rage Against the Machine song was on the Godzilla soundtrack?
That would be No Shelter. It's the song that they started off their Woodstock 99 performance with, and it is a banger. Yes. Thank you.
That is correct.
I know.
That Veronica Vaughn. Okay. What was the last Rage Against the Machine album which featured original material? Do you need the answers?
No, it was Battle of Los Angeles.
Okay, let's see. Boom! You got it.
God, I thought these were gonna be like maybe there's gonna be some curveballs thrown in here, but I'm just home run derbying all
You're
these motherfuckers.
breezing. Home run derby. After the 9/11 tax, what Clear Channel list included every Rage Against the Machine song?
Oh,
I believe
it was the yeah, they were famous for being they were one of few, if maybe the only band that had every single one of their songs was on this list. It was the Do Not Play. It was the FCC. Like they couldn't play, like radio stations were not allowed to play any other, or they were advised not to play any other songs because questionable lyrics.
bands with questionable attitudes. Because here's the answers:
Okay.
songs with questionable lyrics, songs to terrorize terrorists with, 2001 congressional hit list, or bands with questionable attitudes.
I think it was the first one. I think it was the songs with
Songs.
questionable lyrics.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what?
Nice job.
That second answer about bands to terrorize terrorists with, they did use at least one they used at least one Rage song in Guantanamo Bay, when they would kind of like do different like torturous type of things to terrorists where they would like play music at like ear-splitting volumes for long periods of time. Rage had at least one song that that the US government was using against terrorists. So they wouldn't let US kids listen to it, but they, said, "Fuck you, terrorists, listen to this."
Hmm.
So it's a little tidbit. I know too much about these fucking guys.
Yeah, apparently. All right, let's dabble a few more here and see if we can stump you. At which event did Rage Against the Machine hold a protest concert in 2000? Was it the Democratic National Convention? The
Yes,
performance? Oh,
yeah, it's the DNC,
that is correct.
and that little 6-song set was released on Record Store Day, Black Friday, 2018. So I have it on vinyl now. But yeah, I think it was outside Denver.
Chris, I
Could
think
be
you
wrong.
might be their number 1 fan.
I'm up. I'm in the running. I will fight somebody or drink with somebody who claims otherwise.
Let's hope for the latter. In 1993, Rage Against the Machine released the Freedom video in support of whom?
Leonard Peltier.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how I learned about Leonard Peltier, was actually that fucking video, because the video is like they have like cards like info about his case, like overlaying the different shots of the video. It's very cool video. I love it. But yeah,
All right. Rage Against the Machine organized and headlined a benefit concert in New Jersey to aid what cause?
I'll tell you right now, it's Mumia Abu Jamal. So whichever answer has that guy's name in
Yep,
there.
that's the one.
That was at Continental Airlines Arena. I have that bootleg CD. All right, We're not gonna be. I don't think we're gonna be able to stump me. So let's talk about maybe something else.
Well, here, let's go. There's two more questions, and let's see if you can get a 10 out of 10 because we've
Okay.
done 8 so far.
Okay.
Where did the name Rage Against the Machine originate?
I'm gonna need those options.
Okay, you have a phrase used by Tom Morello's dad, a zine called No Answers, they heard it through the grapevine, or a newspaper headline.
Hmm. You know what? I'm guessing. I'm guessing on this one. I should have shut my stupid mouth. Uh, or you should have listened to me and let me get out with a perfect answer.
That's true. I should have let
Perfect.
you off the hook. But
Um, I'm gonna guess because I honestly actually don't know this, but I'm gonna guess the zine. I'm gonna guess the
okay.
zine answer.
That's correct.
Boom! Boom! Yes!
All right, Chris, you're going for a perfect 10 out of 10 here. Are you ready?
I'm
The
ready.
pressure's mounting. Where did Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire debut on the Billboard Top 200?
Oh shit.
Was it number 23, number 144, number 1, or number 77?
Wow, okay. This is a total shot in the dark. I like these types of questions because they're difficult. But holy fuck, what a good question. I mean, I don't I'm just talking out loud here. They they had the first single was Bulls on Parade. I'm pretty sure that was their first single. Um, that was actually the first Rage song that I heard that I like that was the first Rage song I'd ever heard was Bulls on Parade. It was out in 96.
I think it's
And
the first one I ever heard too.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how it goes?
Bulls on Parade.
Okay, well that's a great well, you're lucky guess. Close enough. We're rounding up. Uh, but yeah, I don't think it wouldn't have debuted at number one. Um, I mean, that summer of '96, there was a lot of hot alternative shit out, and they still weren't like they were like a popular band, but like only among the people who like really dug alternative music. They weren't like I don't think they were mainstream enough at that point. So the other I'm gonna knock off number one, and I think the other one was like 144.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna just because if I'm gonna guess going too high and not as low as 144 because that's embarrassing. So I'm gonna nix 144 out. I think the other options were
Close.
23 and 77.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm gonna go 77. That just maybe feels a little bit right to me. I don't know.
All right, this is for all the marbles.
All the marbles.
Here we go. Oh, Chris, you're going to be very disappointed to know that you did not get it correct.
No!
And in fact, 77 is the third place answer because it was number 1.
Oh shit! Oh my god! I should have just gone with that for like I'm a fan. I was trying to see. I outthought myself is what I did. Damn,
Yeah.
number one. Good
But you got
job,
9 out of
Rich.
10, and I'm impressed because I don't know any of those answers, and you knew them like before I even finished the question.
And I gave you a little background data on several
Yeah,
of
you
them.
did. Yeah, you did. Nice job, Chris.
Well, thanks, Julian. That was fun. Thanks for the quiz.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Uh, are we going to talk about something that's happening this weekend?
What's going on this weekend, Chris?
Well, I'm considering taking a trip to go see my parents. No, I'm not.
Oh.
Mom and Dad, if you're listening, I'm not coming out to the suburbs. I know it's only the suburbs, but I'm not going to come that far either.
They're like, yeah, we don't want you.
Getting on the train's a real bitch.
We moved here for a reason. We knew you wouldn't
No,
drive
hey,
this far.
hey, I moved here. I moved to the city for a reason. I left them behind. Get the record straight.
um, yeah, bin check-ins too. Electric Boogaloo. Here we come. It's on Sunday. It's only days away.
Holy shit, it is days away.
Yeah. I have to say this one has been like so much effortlessly easier than the last one because last time you're the new guy in town and like no one knows you. I've like explain yourself over and over again and like really beat on doors and feel like you're you know overdoing it sometimes and like you're like but this is what we're working for. This one has been like easier and I want to air high five the two of us because we had set our vendor registration date for the 30th of October and sold out all the tables a week before.
Boom. That's how we do it.
I'm so excited about it. So I think that's huge. I'm impressed, and we actually had several people that have reached out to us and are still interested in participating in this one. And there's no room anymore because we filled the space at Emporium in Wicker Park. But we are already looking for the Bin Chickens 3. And I'm glad that we've got a series of followers and interests already. Like, this is great. It's super exciting.
No, it is very exciting, and like you said, it's kind of like a sea change from the first one, where the first one there was a lot of, question marks and uncertainties, and will it, are we going to get, X amount of vendors, and how's it all going to go down? And then like once you get past that first event, and it was a successful event, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, this one has been just night and day. It's really fucking exciting. Like I've been really happy at the participation by the vendors, and the quick signups, and the interest that's been shown. Even just this is just 5 months, that
Mm-hmm.
between number one and number two. So I'm impressed. And I got to give you, the lion's share of the credit here, Julie. You've been, working your ass off. So this is your baby, and you're raising it right.
I'm raising it to not be a Rage Against the Machine fan.
Okay, you know what? You're
Just
raising it wrong,
kidding.
then. You're raising it wrong.
Just kidding, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate that. And kudos to you too. I was going to say this later in the podcast, but I want to make sure that it's noted. You've done an excellent job this season and last season with our podcast. I know that when I told you we were going to start a podcast, I didn't really give you much choice that you were going to be
It's
the
true.
host, and you've done an amazing job. And it's been I appreciate your dedication to it because your wealth of knowledge and your passion for music really make it like the content is just always good. Every week I'm like, yes, that's good. Yes, that's good. Um, we've talked. Let's run down. Let's talk about our vendors. Let's go through this all. We've got South Roads Records back again. You and I are
Yeah.
huge fans of Grant over at South Roads. He did a podcast with us for season 1. I loved that podcast. If anyone's listening who hasn't heard it, go back to our season 1 and watch that one with Grant from South Roads, or listen to it. Um, stoked to have
I
him back again.
I had actually thought about asking him back for season two, because I had such a fun time
Yeah,
shooting with him on
I
it. So I think season three, I think we got to bring him back on.
there's several people that I would love to have back on already. I mean, it's incredible because it's kind of like, again, this has just been a lot more effortless this time. Where season 1, I was like digging around trying to find people and like, trying to get everything on schedule, and it was a lot more like, can you do it tomorrow? Where this one was like, hey,
Right.
I've got it planned out like weeks in advance because the lineup like happens so organically. And yeah, I totally agree. I already have 3 people lined up for season 3. So like we're getting there. Like we won't spill the beans on that just yet, but season 3 is in the works. Chris and I have had some small discussions. Um, after our other vendors, so after Grant, we've got Out of the Past Records, who are in Bin Chickens 1 and returning. Like, this is another good thing. The number of returners that we have from the vendors shows
Yeah.
how great the show was originally, because I used to do these networks of shows, obviously in a different way because of my line of work, but you didn't go back to a show that you might test the waters, and if it's not good, you might go back once because you might have had a bad time, or it might have just been a bad day or the wrong audience, but you don't really return, with enthusiasm like the way that these people signed up the minute that registration opened, unless you really enjoyed it. And like, that's what Marie from Out of the Past, she said that they had such a good time. She goes, the show was fun. She goes, but we had such a good time. We wanted to do it again.
That's awesome. That is so
I
awesome to
Isn't
hear.
that great? I loved that. I was like, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't just, that she came and she sold so much money. It was that she had fun at the show. And I
Yeah.
loved that too.
Yeah. And she was gracious enough to do the video podcast with us just last week, and that was a lot of fun. So
So much fun. Still, one of the things to crack up about from season 2 is the moment when the cat makes a presence and she goes, "Hey, white girl."
Because
And
that's the
that's when,
cat's name, but yeah.
yes. And she is a white cat and she is a girl, and it was just too funny. But yeah, no, Marie is as a hoot, and I'm so glad that they're coming back too. And if
Yes.
anyone hasn't been to their record shop in the Austin neighborhood, it is absolutely worth getting out there to see what they have, because they have, I mean, I don't even know. What were we saying? Like, they think they have 1 million cassette tapes in their basement alone, and that's just cassette tapes.
They've just got a ton of stuff, and it's a paradise for people who like to dig through just crates and stacks and just stores of music stuff. There's a certain type of person who likes to dig through that, and that is the place to go. Get there.
Agreed. Um, Other returners, we have JDZ Records coming back
BBC.
again. And Josh did season 2. He did a podcast on season 2. Uh, what I mean, like, okay, maybe there needs to be some kind of music quiz trivia between you and Josh, because I feel like he knows and is just enthusiastic about music as you are. Like, he knows
I
so much stuff
I had so much fun doing that podcast with Josh because, like you said, I mean, he just knows so much shit, and like that's the kind of stuff that I just like to just sit and listen to somebody talking about all the musical knowledge that they have. Like I think it was like a Friday night that we recorded that, and like
hmm
I was done with that podcast, and I was like I'm always amped for the weekend because fuck work, weekends are great, but like I was like especially amped like when I was done with that podcast. It was like 8 at night on a Friday. I was like, I need to fucking I just needed to go out and do something because I was so excited from having that
from
conversation
the
with him.
energy. Yeah, I agree. I felt
Yeah,
the same. It was a Friday night because I had been in the suburbs. I don't recall what I was doing in the suburbs, but on the drive back in, and you had sent me the recording, I was listening to it and I was like, this is good. Like, that I felt this. There's so many times where I get that vibe over and over again from our podcast, because obviously, like, to hear you, or to like feel the passion that you have, and like to feel it through just like audio, I can't imagine what you actually feel afterwards. So yeah, I totally thought that was a great podcast too. Um, I mean, and I'm going to come back again because we have another returner to talk to, but I want to, on the same page, talk about Brittany's record shop coming out of Cleveland,
yeah.
Ohio. And now, like, season 2 is it's full of bangers. Like, her podcast was so good. I can't wait to meet her in person and tell her how impressed I was with the
Yeah.
things that she's saying. She's very eloquent. She has her thoughts composed. She speaks clearly. I just it
She knows
Everything
her
about it
shit.
is like woman in charge, and I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved her, like, her whole persona on audio. I can't wait to meet her in person because this will be our first time. We've got someone coming from Cleveland, Ohio. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that podcast, I mean, I don't want to denigrate any other podcasts that I did in season 2, except the ones I did with you, Julie, because those were awful. I hated them all. Um, but no disrespect to any of the other podcasts that I did. And again, doing the video cast with Marie from Out of the Past, that was really special and fun. But the podcast I did with Brittany this season, like I was just like when I was done with that podcast, like I was just like laying back in my chair, like just like kind of blown away. Like I learned so much. It was just I had so much fun. Like, and I think that's the longest podcast that I've done. And it's just because like I didn't want it to end. Like I just every conversation, everything that we were talking about, like it just kind of like led into like another conversation or another little river of talk. And it was like I was finally like, oh shit, it's like an hour and 15 minutes. Like okay, I
I
guess I'll
think it
wrap
was
this up.
closer to an hour and 20. And it makes me laugh because I had just said to you, I'm like, hey, try to keep this one under an hour so I can put it on Instagram, like
Yeah.
IGTV. And you were like, yeah, yeah, cool. And then you're like, sorry, Julie, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, about that keeping it under an hour thing. Yeah, I didn't give a fuck. Sorry. But that's seriously just how much fun I had. It was so much fun. So I'm super stoked to meet her on Sunday. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for it. And I hope that she doesn't get caught in any of that garbage that's moving across the East Coast right now. So I hope that she's safe and driving in. Um, so Atlantic Posters back again. We had him at Bin Chickens 1. He's the guy that put up all the posters. He's got music, he's got sports, I mean, like, it's celebrities. It's really cool. And some of the photos, we had the professional photographer that came through, and we actually had Sean from Deep Cuts, who's doing a documentary, and he filmed, and he gave us a quick minute long, kind of, snippet trailer, I don't know what you call it, of what he filmed at Bin Chickens. And like the posters are repetitious, like they're in the professional photos, and they're in the video. Like, he did great, and I'm glad he's back again too. And he's going to have a really cool setup right along the bar, where he'll be able to put out all of his stuff again. But Steve is such a nice guy. Like, I'm so glad he's coming back to us.
And I bought that in that video that I did earlier in the week for the Rage reunion news. I bought that, like, I don't even know what you call those, but it's like those like cardboard like cutouts that like they used to have in like Sam Goody and other stores
Yeah,
when
uh-huh.
you know like these like
Sam
large
Goody.
things. Yes, Goody got it. Uh, I bought one of those for, Rage Against the Machine's Battle of Los Angeles, because it's like, I can't believe you fucking have this. Like, of course I'm gonna fucking buy this, like, oh, what is it, $300? No, it wasn't $300. But yeah, like, he's just got a ton of cool shit. So I'm definitely gonna walk away again with, I'm sure, a really cool piece of either music, art, or poster, or film, something. He's got good shit. So
Yeah, for sure. And then our other returner is Tony K Records. Tony is like, gosh, I mean, these guys are like, everyone that's coming back to us have been nice people on top of it. And Tony called me and he's like, "Hey, I want to chat with you before I sign up and just talk to you about what's going on with this one." Like, such a great conversation with him, just to like even say, "Hey, how's it been going for the last 5 months?" Like, he's like a friend at this point. Like, he's
yeah,
just the nicest guy. Had a smile on his face the entire time at BCFS1, VF1. What did I just say? SF? I don't know. It's late and I haven't eaten. Um, but anyway, he was just so happy and so nice and kind, and he had some really fun things to say. He was like, "I know what they asked for the last time. I'm going to bring more hip hop." And I know, he was paying attention, as was Marie. She mentioned the same thing. She was like, "I'm taking notes on what people are asking for, so I know what to bring." And she's really like attentively playing to the crowd, as is Tony K. Like, I think that's really awesome, because
yeah.
our vibe is a little different than the other vinyl fairs. Like, we're a little bit more vibey.
We've got all the vibe.
So yeah, so huge turnout, and a lot of thanks to our returners for coming back to us. And then we already mentioned Brittany's record shop coming in. Other great ones that are coming to us for the first time, we have ZMF headphones.
Yeah.
And you did a podcast with Bevan for season 2. So Bevan and her husband Zach own ZMF headphones. We met them at Expona, like in
Yes.
March, April. There was still snow on the ground, that's all I remember. Earlier in the year, and I was so impressed by what they were doing, and that they were making these headphones out of wood, and that it was being made here in Chicago. And I was so enamored by what they had going on. So when they reached out to us and said, "Hey, do you guys want to participate in our event?" Is like, yeah, obviously, yes, we do. Like, you guys are so cool. So that was, I'm excited. I know you had a good time with Bevan too at that podcast as well.
Yeah, no, that podcast was a lot of fun. She's great. Zach's great. Their company's great. Um, I'm glad, when we did go to their event, which was ZM Festivus 2, we had a lot of fun there. A lot of cool people there. I was able to give her the Crisscross single for I Missed the Bus, which, she and I had talked about on the podcast, which she was kind of, impressed with when I gave it to her, like, oh my God, I didn't know that, like, you would be giving me this. So that was a lot of fun, because I like seeing somebody's eyes kind of light up, like when you give them a vinyl that
Yeah,
they like,
she
you
wrote
know,
an email afterwards and said that she has the album in one of the record stands that was also from our table, and she's got it like front and center with all of her audio. equipment.
There you go.
She's like, that's exactly where it belongs. Thought that was really nice of her.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Good times. And then our last mention here is Music Masters Worldwide. So Cordell was our last one to sign up, and our the one that sold us out, the guy that took us home for Bin Chickens too. And yeah, I'm excited to see what he brings to it. He's new to us, and I think it's going to be, a nice mix of wares that he has as well to showcase, and maybe we can get him on season 3 to talk about his experience with Bin Chickens. And
Yeah, yeah.
he put his toe in the water on the first one. He reached out to us, but I don't know if he just wanted to kind of come to him. I'm sure if he made it to see, but it'll be really interesting to get his review after and see what he thought of the whole thing and whether he'd come back again too. I mean, I want to make fans out of all of our vendors. So
Sure. And I'm excited to check out, his booth because I, was dabbling a little bit on his website once he signed up, and so I know he's got good stuff as well. I'm looking forward personally as a record collector. This is, I mean, I made it out of the first Bin Chickens with a lot of cool fucking records, and I'm gonna come away from this one with even more cool records, like just the vendors that we have, the stuff that they're bringing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. I'm fucking stoked about this.
me
So
too. Me too, Chris. I'm glad. I'm glad. And again, you know, big ups to us. We did this. We made this whole thing, and look at what it's turning into, and I just love it. I love it. I think it's awesome that people recognize us and know, that this is something that we want. This is going to be a Chicago staple. It's going to be the best vinyl fair that there is.
I hope to yeah, I hope you're right. I'm not trying yeah, I'm down. I hope it is the best vinyl fair. I'm just not trying to disrespect any other vinyl fairs because I
Oh
love
no, not at all.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it came off pretty disrespectful. You sounded pretty
Whoa,
disrespectful.
whoa, whoa. That's
Whoa,
not
whoa,
what I
whoa,
meant.
Miss Lippy.
Yes, you knew where I was going with that. No, didn't mean for it to come out that way.
No, I'm just giving you shit. So it is Sunday, and of course. Oh, and Julie, we said this one was going to be a shorter one. We're already pushing like 50 plus minutes,
Oh
uh,
gosh.
which I don't mind because I like to talk, and nobody likes to listen. But our DJs, we've got DJs coming back. All the DJs from the first fair, except for one, and it wasn't because we're not going to get into it, but there was nothing wrong with it. It was just we had like a different time constraints that we were working with, and we decided to go with just an hour long set for each of the 5 returning DJs from the first final fair. So we've got starting it off at noon. We've got formerly known as DJ Roperoni from the first event. We've got DJ Samo starting us off at 12, getting us in the groove early. 1 o'clock, we've got uh, he DJ'd at our first event as Tony Tricks. This event, he is performing some of his own production work with his music writing producing partner as Palace.
Yeah, that's
So
exciting.
it is exciting. I'm excited to see actually how their set goes off because that's just kind of like another level of excitement to bring to the thing is that they're going to be kind of playing their own productions and all of that. So that's exciting. 2 o'clock, we've got again returning from Bin Chickens 1, DJ Cranky right in the middle of the mix. He always throws down a really good set, so I'm always excited to listen to his stuff. At 3 o'clock, we've got DJ Scenery on the scene. His set from Bin Chickens 1 was really good, so he always brings the heat and he always brings a good crowd. So, of course, I'm excited to listen to him. And then hopefully by the time 4 o'clock rolls around, if people have been drinking to that point, maybe they won't be paying as much attention. Uh, I'm going to be DJing the final hour, DJ Flintlock, and I'm going to be playing some house music. I am also going to be throwing in a record that just arrived today, Julie, a very special record that I ordered from Japan 3 weeks ago, and it finally arrived. It is a 45. It is one of the smaller records. Since we are playing at an arcade bar, I
Uh-huh.
thought that it would be super appropriate to have some video game tunage in my set, and I have a copy of the original Super Mario Brothers video game, the very first level, the famous Super Mario Brothers music that everybody who was ever born in the 80s or played video games in the 80s knows. I have that on 45. I tried to buy it off somebody at a bar 3 years ago when he was playing it. And I was like, dude, how much can I fucking pay you right now to just give me that record? And he's like, it cost me like $150. I don't want to part with it though. So like he wouldn't part with it. He was true to his word. So I came across this like a month ago. I was like, I'm fucking getting this for Bin Chickens too. It just arrived. I listened to it like 2 hours ago. The vinyl, it's from 1986. This came out in 1986 in Japan. The vinyl is perfect. It sounds absolutely beautiful. So I'm gonna drop that at some point in my
Do
set
do
today.
do 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 do
Yeah,
do 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 do.
yeah, it's a beautiful song. So I'm really excited to now finally have that in my collection. It's so cool. So I'm stoked
Yeah,
for reasons about this Sunday.
nice. Me too.
Really quickly, I did want to share a quick tidbit, non-bin chickens related necessarily, but still music related. Um, I wasn't going to talk about, oh, well, let's talk about that real quick. We have a sponsor for this event.
Yeah, yeah. Discogs, great people. They've been easy to work with, and I'm excited. They've sent us all the swag. I've got the swag waiting to go for Sunday, so
It's
everyone's getting bags and pins and stickers, and there's keychains, I think, too. So yeah, there's a lot.
So they have a blog, and I did come across an article recently that they blogged about, which was the top 200 or the 200 best albums of the 2010s. Um, which, it's got Childish Gambino on there, The Strokes, Jack White, Lady Gaga's Born This Way comes in at 191. You got Florence and the Machine, MGMT, Iggy Pop, which I didn't even know he was actually releasing stuff, but he came out with an album 3 years ago that actually makes their top 200. Um, Coldplay, Saint Vincent, Beastie Boys. Just trying to scroll through here. These are only the ones that I know. There's a lot of these artists that I don't know because I'm old. Um, Ed Sheeran's got 2 entries, I think, on this top 200. How do you feel about Ed Sheeran, Julie?
I like his voice.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that's kind of like some subtle shade that you're throwing by specifying that it's his
No,
voice.
that's
It
just
sounds
how
like
I
it.
feel about him.
Uh,
There's no shade.
Amy Winehouse is on here. Foo Fighters came out with it
Nice.
in 2017. Yeah, I guess
I got a confession to make.
is that on that album, or are you just singing any Foo Fighters song?
Well, that's like the first thing that comes to my head when their name gets thrown out there.
Okay. Pearl Jam's on here, Lana Del Rey, Churches, Billie Eilish, of course. Uh,
Yeah.
Run the Jewels, which I still don't think you've listened to any Run the Jewels.
No, I have because my boyfriend likes to listen to it. So
And also your nickname is Jules, so what the
this
fuck?
is true. They're going to run me.
So they've got a couple entries. Gorillas around here, LCD Sound System, Bon Iver, Beck. So, anyways, a very interesting article or blog by Discogs about the top 200 albums of the 2010s. And even cooler is they've partnered with the website VNYL, which is vinyl without the I. It's a vinyl curating service where you can, subscribe I think it's like a monthly subscription. You fill out a profile, tell them what you like, and then for a certain amount of money per month, they give you records that they believe you will appreciate. Um, but they are also partnering with Discogs. They have these top 200 albums of the 2010s. They have it for purchase you can get the top 200 albums, all 200 of them. That's just mind blowing to me. There's so many albums, and it's for $5,000, which is obviously it's a price point. It's a high price point, but breaking that down by 200, it's $25 a record. So I mean that's very in line with what records are selling for nowadays, brand new. So that's a cool thing that I think that Discogs did.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
pretty rad.
um, and then of course they also, they do this monthly recap of the top 30 most expensive items that were sold on Discogs for that month. And so going through this list, there's a collection. It was released in 1982, a boxed set of 14 Beatles albums. It's called The Beatles: A Collection, and that sold for $1,500. Um,
Wow.
I don't know why anyone would buy these because the Beatles are awful, but
Oh, stop.
I guess there's somebody out there who wanted it. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. Like anytime you can get a boxed set in there for the top 30 items, that's cool. I also thought it was interesting because on that aforementioned podcast with Brittany from Brittany's Record Shop, she mentioned one of her Holy Grail records is a 7-inch single from a group called Flowers, and the song is called For Real. And this is very rare from 1976. It was sold for $1,900
Oh my
on
gosh.
Discogs. And if you go on Discogs right now, there are, it looks like 3 copies for sale. And one of them is $2,500, the other one's 3,000, and the most expensive one is $3,800. And the $3,800 version is very good plus as far as the condition of the record. The other two are just very good. So meaning that these records still play, you still hear the song, but there might be some cracks and pops where, true audiophiles might be like, oh, I can't listen to this. But that's just how rare it is. And to actually have it in there's no near mints available that I can see. Um, so that's just really cool when stuff like that actually gets out into the world. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up was, um, oh, do you know who Banksy is? The UK graffiti artist Banksy.
No, I don't.
Mm. Well, that's all I know about him is that he's a graffiti artist from the UK. Uh, his, his name's Banksy, but he's been around for a while. But he did there's a group called Royksop, and I'm probably mispronouncing that because there's umlauts over the O so it's probably like Ryksup, um, some sort of foreign Scandinavian group, I believe. But they had an album that came out in 2002, and they commissioned Banksy to individually create I don't know if it was 100 or 1,000. It's a limited number of album covers for that album where every single one is different than all the other ones that he did because he's just doing them, individually. Um,
That's really cool.
it's super cool, and that was the highest selling item in September. That sold for a cool $10,256. Um, so yeah, that's pretty expensive. And then the number two item was the Beatles single on 7-inch "Love Me Do," which that sold for $9,200. Which I'll tell you this, Julie, I would pay 92 cents and not a cent more for that song. Um,
You're such a
but
hater.
I am a hater. I'm a proud hater. The last thing I wanted to bring up was because this is rare that an item that gets released so new, so recently, achieves these high sales numbers. There was a release here in August, just 3 months ago, of it was a boxed set to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the original Woodstock concert. It was a 38 CD box set compilation. Um, and each of the CDs was each of the artists that performed at Woodstock was on their own CD. And when I was looking over the images of this, each CD has the person's name on it, obviously the artist, but then it also has the date and the time of their set at the original Woodstock, right? So I was looking at them, and some of these sets were 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., 3:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know that at the original Woodstock there was actual acts and sets that went on in the wee hours of the morning,
Oh, I didn't know
which
that either.
I had no fucking clue. That's really cool. So that sold for $3,000, and that just came out 3 months ago. And it's already a must-have item for collectors. But when I was digging into the Woodstock research on the original concert, it's what else? What other shit do I not know about this? Mud festival from the '60s. Um, there's a list of declined invitations or missed connections for bands that had been invited but didn't perform for whatever reason. Rolling Stones is on there, Moody Blues, Joni Mitchell, Led Zeppelin. Are you guys slamming to Joni Mitchell now? Uh, Tommy James and the Shondells, which is the original artist of that song, I think We're Alone Now, made popular by Tiffany in the 80s.
I'd really like to know why these bands said no. Like,
Well,
what
so
was the?
so there's a whole bunch of different reasons, right? Like some of them are just like super logistical. Like, we had something else booked that weekend. Like you have to remember this was like there wasn't like Woodstock wasn't a thing at that point, right? So it's just like some guy saying like, "Hey, come play at this festival, we'll pay you whatever." Um, but Tommy
Sounds
James,
like me with Bin Chickens 1.
yeah, exactly. You were the original Woodstock producer. Um, but Tommy James and the Shondells said the leads, Tommy James says, we could have just kicked ourselves. We were in Hawaii, which you can appreciate. My secretary called and said, yeah, listen, there's this pig farmer in upstate New York that wants you to, that wants you to play in his field. That's how it was put to me. So we passed and we realized what we'd missed a couple of days later.
Oh my God, that's
You
so
know?
funny.
Yeah, so it's just crazy shit like that. But the funniest thing that I read about was the group Iron Butterfly. They did the song Inagata Davida.
Yes.
So they were booked to appear and they were listed on the Woodstock poster for a Sunday performance. But they could not perform because they were stuck at LaGuardia Airport. And according to the Woodstock production coordinator, he said, they sent me a telegram saying, we will arrive at LaGuardia. You will have helicopters pick us up. We will fly straight to the show. We will perform immediately, and then we will be flown out. Like that, so that was Iron Butterfly's telegram to the guy who's running Woodstock. And so this guy picks up the phone. He calls Western Union, sends them a telegram in response. Okay, and I'm gonna read you the telegram. And I don't know,
Okay.
have you ever seen a telegram how it's formatted?
No, well, I mean, I'm sure I have, but I can't picture it in my
So
head
it,
right now.
so it's like you do a line in the telegram and then it says stop and it goes to the next line. So it's
Oh,
this
right. Okay. Yep.
it's this series of lines. So I'm gonna read it to you first, and then I'm gonna tell you why he put it like this. So his telegram response goes, for reasons I can't go into, stop. Until you are here, stop. Clarifying your situation, stop. Knowing you are having problems, stop. You will have to find, stop. Other transportation, stop. Unless you plan not to come. That was the telegram. The reason why he did that was because the way that each line was stopped, the first letter of each of those 7 lines spells out "fuck you." I mean, it's
That's
it's
genius.
it is genius. It is so fucking cool that he did that. That's why I had to, that that's why I had to bring up this tidbit because I was like, that's so fucking cool. That's so good, so good.
That's the kind of history that you hope that that stuff never gets lost. Like that story might not have ever gotten told, right? Like it
Right.
could have gotten completely lost. We'd never know how many like treasures of tidbits of information from existence of humans are just lost now. Like these things are
Yeah.
gone. But that's like the kind of stuff that you're like, man, I hope that that never goes away. I hope that they're famous for it and it's like in their Wikipedia page. And I mean, like, you just want that to stick around for a long time.
Yeah. Um. So it's the list of bands that didn't play there. It's filled with funny stories like that. There was another band. I've never heard of these guys. Blues Image. They agreed to appear there, but their manager told them there's only one road in and it's going to be raining. You don't want to be there. So, so they instead took a gig at Binghamton, which
I'm sure that
Binghamton,
led to their amazing career.
yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of them, so make of that what you will. Sorry, Blues. But yeah, so yeah, so we've got Discogs sponsoring the event on Sunday. It's going to be great, and also Emporium Arcade Bar. I'm so stoked
Yeah.
that they're hosting us. Like this is going to be a great time. Their space is great. They've got great drinks, arcade games. Just the whole vibe there is going to be awesome. So
Yeah, every paid ticket gets 10 free tokens, complimentary tickets, tokens, I guess is the right word, to play the arcade games. Like that was really generous of them. So the bar will be open and the good times will be going, music will be playing. Vendors will be selling. That'll be great.
Um, and yeah, so actually that reminds me, because I'm so stoked about the video games being there. Um, even though I'm probably gonna have to pay for mine. That if you look up at the stage at like 4-ish when my set's supposed to be going and I'm not up there, go look for the X-Men arcade game in the other side of the bar. That's probably where I'm at if I'm not up on stage DJing. So I'm telling you now before I get drunk and forget.
Apologize in advance.
Um, but Julie, this was actually surprisingly to me, because I've dreaded each of my podcasts with you specifically. Um, this was a lot of fun. So
Yeah, it was a good time.
thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Chris. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Thanks for making me do another one with you. Uh, and to anybody who is listening, please like and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you go onto YouTube and look up Bin Chicken's Vinyl Fair, you should find it, and go ahead and like it. Go ahead and subscribe to it, and then tell everybody that you've ever met about it to also do the same.
Literally everybody you've ever met, tell them. They want to know about it.
At least tell like one other person you've met. I mean, there's a
Whoa,
big
whoa, whoa. Let's set the bar a little higher than one.
it's a spectrum, Julie. It's a spectrum. Everybody they've ever met, you've met like probably like at least 20
let's at
people.
least tell like 3 people each.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so do that. Do like the rule of 3 and just tell 3 other people about it, and then have them like it, have them subscribe it, and we'll be forever grateful, or at least grateful for a couple of hours after we learn, if we ever do.
Yeah, we celebrated this last subscriber, the two of us, before pre-podcast. We looked at our
We
podcast
did.
and saw another subscriber, and we celebrated them. We will celebrate you if you like and subscribe.
And if you tell us that you liked and subscribed, then we'll celebrate you by name. We don't know who this mystery subscriber
Yeah,
was.
we don't get to know who your names are, but if you want to send us a message and say, "Hey, I just followed you," we'll make it known on a podcast that Mike from Chicago just subscribed and liked to our podcast.
Why Mike from Chicago?
I don't know. I just threw out the most common name I could think of.
That's a
Mike,
super common.
John.
Mike's going to be represented well at Bin Chickens on Sunday in the DJ booth as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of Mikes happening.
A lot of Mikes. A lot
A
of Mikes.
lot of Mikes.
Okay. Well,
Well,
Julie,
I'm
again.
gonna go eat my pasta. So
Yeah, go eat your penny pasta, which I wouldn't pay a penny for, by the way.
it's penne.
Oh, okay. Okay, Jen.
All right, Chris. Well, we'll be seeing each other on Sunday, huh?
Looking forward to it. About that time, chap?
Righto.
All right. Have a good night, Julie.
You too.